Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. Henry Ford.
Welcome back to the homestead, y'all. It's time to pull up some of our landscape fabric here. This was garden of the year. We're still getting a few zucchini and a few squash, but I'm running out of time to plant kale and lettuce. I'm gonna go ahead today and pull up the water lines, pull up the landscape fabric, go ahead and get some kale and some lettuce planted. And then the rest of the area I'm just gonna plant in our winter cover crop, which I'll do other videos on those, on what I plant and why I plant them. But for today, I need to get busy. I only have about 6 weeks left of growing time, because around here in Tennessee in late November, we get below 10 hours of sunlight. And once you get below 10 hours of sunlight, your plants won't grow. They'll still live, but they won't grow because they don't have enough sunlight to grow. So I want to hurry up and get this planted today. Today is the first week of October. So that leaves me about 6 or 7 weeks of growing time. That's enough to get the cover crop in, get kale in, get lettuce in. And then once we get later in the year, we'll go ahead and put hoops over our kale and our lettuce and protect them with frost-proof covers. So that way we have kale and lettuce right on through the end of December and sometimes into the 1st of January before it gets too cold and freezes them out. So I'm gonna get started. I have me a bucket here. I'll put all my stakes for my water lines in here and all my stakes for my landscape fabric in here. So that way I can keep them all together. Once I get the kale planted and the lettuce planted, then I'm gonna go ahead and put some more landscape fabric down between those rows. So that way we'll have a good clean walkway all winter long. And then the rest of the area, I'm gonna go ahead and plant in our winter cover crop. So I'm gonna get busy. This is straw that we put on top of the landscape fabric to help hold moisture in, and it helps with the heat in July and August when it's real hot. It keeps the heat down because the landscape fabric is black. I know they make white landscape fabric. I haven't purchased any of it yet, but the next time I go to purchase landscape fabric, if I ever do, I'm going to buy the white. Now, most of our landscape fabric, you can go back and watch one of our videos on our tomato grow. Of course, we grew tomatoes that were over 12 foot tall this year. But in that first video, I talk about getting landscape fabric for free. It's called Geo. They put it down under roads. Anywhere they're building a road, you can stop, and if they have any left over, a lot of those guys will just give it to you. Or you can stop at a construction site where you see silt fencing up. That silt fencing is basically landscape fabric, and you can get it for free when the job is done. Anyhow, you can go back and watch that video and I explain how to get landscape fabric for free. But now that I've got the landscape fabric up and the water lines up, I'm gonna go ahead, I took a rake and just leveled some of this out, some of the straw and some of the dead zucchini and squash leaves. and I'm gonna go ahead and plant some kale and lettuce, just 2 rows, 1 row of kale and 1 row of lettuce in here. And then I'm gonna plant cover crop in the rest of it. I'm gonna go ahead and spread my seed, and then I have a wheelbarrow full of compost, and I clean the rest of our brooders out. We only have 1 brooder going that has a few baby peacocks in it and a few guineas in it. But the rest of them I cleaned out real good. We clean those out about once a week, and I put all that on our garden. It doesn't go in the composter, it goes straight on the garden. That's a great nitrogen source. So I'm gonna use the rest of it, and I have some good compost to mix in with it to put over top of this and hopefully give it a boost. And it'll grow real fast because we only have about 6 weeks left until the sunlight gets to where the plants won't grow anymore. So I want them to grow as fast as they can. So that way the roots will stay in the soil and it'll help the soil. And of course, like I've said before, we want living soil. You want to feed the microbes, you want to feed the mycorrhizal fungi, you want to feed all the things in your soil, and by keeping a cover crop in there, that helps do that. So we'll go ahead, I'll pull the rest of the squash, zucchini, a few little cantaloupes that were left, feed those to the chickens, and then I'll come back in here and I'll go ahead and plant the cover crop, kale and lettuce. Well, there's just a few squash, 1 zucchini, a couple little cantaloupes, and I'll take those and feed those to the chickens, and then we'll get busy planting. I have my cover crop seed here. There's over 20 different varieties. I'll put a link below to my green manures video and my cover crop video where I discuss the different types of seeds that I use and why I use them. Also in that video, in the description, I have the list, the complete list of all the seeds that I use for our cover crop and why I use them. There's peas in here, winter peas, 6 different kinds of clover, there's kale, there's turnips, there's daikon radishes, there's all kinds of stuff in here. So I'll put that complete list below in this video also. But I'm just gonna hand spread this, no more than what it is. I'm not gonna get my spreader out. I'm just gonna take my hand and spread it. And then I'm gonna go and get the compost, and I'm gonna put a light layer of compost on it so that way the seeds get the feed that they need to get started and grow quickly. So I'll get started on that, and then I'll go get the compost. Okay, so that's got our kale planted. We planted lettuce, and I went ahead and planted some spinach in with it also. We've got our cover crop, our green manures planted in it. So now I'll go get the compost. I'll put a thin layer of compost on top of all of this, so that way it'll get a boost. Once it rains, it's supposed to rain tonight and tomorrow. It should get a boost. Hopefully the seeds will have enough time and enough warmth in the soil to sprout. I'm a little bit worried about that, but we'll see how it goes. Another thing I wanted to mention is I still have green peppers growing over here. Peppers are something that like the cooler weather. Usually I can grow those green peppers, especially if I put a frost-proof cover over them. I can grow them right to the 1st of December before we get some real hard freezes. They can handle down to about 30 degrees or so if you have a cover on them. Along with the black landscape fabric, it soaks up the heat during the day and heats the soil up and then releases that heat at night. So they can handle down to about 30 degrees. So I'm gonna get some frost-proof covers out, get them ready. We're supposed to be down to 37 this weekend, and go ahead and put them on those pepper plants so that way I still get green peppers for the next few weeks anyhow. So I'll go get the compost and I'll spread this. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you have anything that I could do different that would help, please leave that comment below so I can learn from you, from what you've tried over the years. And thanks for watching. since I planted this seed. And as you can see, it's coming up very well. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.